This is how every one of my haul videos starts, but I was gonna go out just to shop for myself, and then I got sucked into the time vortex, and I came out with about $100 worth of stuff. Let me show you what I got. First of all, I got this big Sterilite storage bin for $4. It's like new. Anytime I find these in good condition, I'll pick them up because they're universally useful. Although finding a place for it's going to be a challenge because I sleep in my closet now, which I guess I will now have to talk about at the end of this video. Stay tuned for details. Yes, I'm serious. All right, here's the receipt. It's a long one. Total is $95.41. That includes a couple of gifts that I will not be showing and some books. This is probably the best find. This came out on a goodie cart. This is a Plantronics wireless headset / microphone that retails for about $150. These are selling for $100 on eBay, and I believe this was a Christmas gift because the box is open, but this stuff is all, that looks new to me. Post-Christmas is a magical time of year to thrift. You get, as I've talked about in other videos, you get stores offloading some of their surplus inventory so that they can get the end of year tax write-off. And also you have people donating gifts that did not work out, like $150 pieces of electronics. Switch over to clothes. This is probably in my top 3 clothing brands. This is a boutique brand from California. I live in Los Angeles, so I find this not as often as I'd like, but you know, a couple times a month. These sell almost immediately and they sell for above $30. The sell-through on these are great. Anything this brand, just pick it up on site. Just pull the trigger, shoot to kill. This was, by the way, at the end of a Thursday, which is Dollar Day at Goodwill. So you would expect all the clothing inventory to be completely picked over, and you doubly would expect to not find stuff like this because this Goodwill is in Los Feliz, which is one of the cool guy capitals of the universe. So I don't know if I just got lucky today or what, but I typically have good luck at this particular Goodwill. This was $7. This is not from the period. This is a, I believe, a throwback collaboration between DKNY and this company, Opening Ceremony. That's a different company. This is a collaboration piece. Opening Ceremony, I think, is a streetwear brand, and it has the stuff on the sleeves. I couldn't really find any comps at all. I'm probably gonna shoot for the moon, list this for maybe 100 and see what happens. Probably nothing will happen at 100 and drop it down in price. Realistically, I expect to get around 30 for this. And I am being a little bit more indiscriminate in terms of the clothing inventory that I buy because I'm not in this choke point financially anymore, so I can afford to sit on stuff a little bit longer. This is a vintage tag for a vintage tee, made in USA. This is a very Paul Cantu type, you know, I don't typically buy this kind of thing, but it just seemed too good to be true. It is not too good to be true, too good to pass up. It's not single stitch, it is double stitch, but it is vintage. It says 1990 on it. It's some community center thing. It was $4. Another vintage piece. Members only, a brand I typically do not buy, but you know, this was probably the same person. There was a comp, not this particular color scheme, just plain white, or more plain white, that sold for $50. So I'm thinking I'll probably price this around there. See what happens. This was $1, so I didn't really run the numbers, but this is a decent brand, Southern Tide. I've only found this once before, ever, actually. I think it's a more common brand on the East Coast, and I've already spotted a stain. Great, so I'll wash it. That's the downside of thrifting later in the day. You don't get bright sunlight, and it's harder to screen stuff when you're in the store. This is just a t-shirt. Anyway, it's an East Coast brand. I am pretty sure it's an East Coast brand, and their polo shirts sell. I sold them at some point. I haven't run the numbers on them in quite some time. This was dope. Polo Ralph Lauren 4X Big, new with tags, big pony logo, embroidered rugby polo shirt. This shirt is rich in keywords. I was pretty blown away. I think this is what I was talking about. I think this is a clothing store that couldn't sell their 4X Big shirt, so they donated it. And this has happened to me at Ross before too. I found it was a Polo Ralph Lauren 4XL or 4XB polo shirt that was on deep discount, because I think retailers that aren't specialty big and tall stores have trouble moving this stuff in their brick and mortar stores. $5. $5. If you're new to reselling clothing, the reason the 4XB was significant is because really big sizes like that tend to fetch more money, and there's higher demand for it. This is another dollar item. I also did not spend the time to run the numbers. This was listed at 20, got it for $1. The suit section, the formal wear section, I think is a good place to hit on dollar day, because it's on nobody's radar. Just in general, it's not on most people's radar. I think it's one of the least trafficked areas of any thrift store, but on dollar day especially, you can find crazy stuff. This is the fabric, I think. I think that's the name of the fabric. And here is the brand. Brooks Brothers. I believe the red fleece is not one of their higher end lines. I could be wrong on that, but this is linen blend. Sport coat. I don't know what I'll get for it, probably 40, 50. This I actually bought out of nostalgia. It's a hard thing to look up because this keyword is pretty polluted with other stuff. But this is a skate brand that I used to find all the time when I lived in San Diego, which is where I started thrifting. This was one of my bread and butter items down there, and I haven't found it in LA, I think, at all. I think this is the first piece that I found from Brixton. It's just a men's basic small shirt. Got it for $6. These were a really staple item for me. Again, the numbers are squirrely, but I think it's worth picking up. This is the Woolrich vintage tag. They have this thing going around it. It is a down jacket, ski jacket. Although maybe it qualifies as a puffer. Typically the puffers have this kind of quilted lining on the exterior, which this one does not. But this was $10, and the demand for vintage Woolrich down jackets is close to 100% sell-through. They just kept coming and coming. This is Lady Gaga. It's that thing, and this was $7, close to 100% sell-through on these shirts, and there are no comps for this great big all-over graphic, so I'm thinking I'll probably get 30 for this. This was a hunch. I almost never pick up Hilfiger stuff unless it's vintage, famous, classic, YouTube, perennial, staple, giant, big Tommy Hilfiger logo stuff. But this is a retro 90s style color block That's the key phrase. I think it's properly 2 words. Sometimes I see it as 1 word, color block. That's when there are big blocks of color, and the kids love this stuff. So I figured that was not a big risky buy for $6. Last clothing item. This was cool. This is a vintage Nautica. That's the vintage tag, or one of the older tags at least, from the 90s. Pair of swim shorts that are still new with their Macy's tags. Yeah, Macy's. And I think a good way to differentiate new with tags vintage stuff is that there's no URLs anywhere on the tags. There is no www anywhere on this piece. There was 1 comp sold for these for, what was it, 30 bucks, and I got it for 8. Out of season, but so be it. All right, let me show you some of the other stuff I got a bunch of books. So I got some books for myself. This is a bleak, I guess you could call it like proletarian realist novel in the vein of The Jungle, which is one of my favorite genres of literature. This is a book about recent history of the climate apocalypse and a very cool binding of a Japanese modern classic from New Directions. And I got 3 business / self-help books. Historically, this genre has caused my stomach acid to shoot out of my eyeballs. I hate it, or I thought I hated it. And then I read 2 really good ones back to back. The one that I did a video on, and then another one that I'm going to shoot a video on that I actually finished and then flipped to the front cover and read all the way through again, and I'm going to complete it for the 2nd time tonight. And I don't remember ever doing that with a book. So there's going to be a video about that, but that put the scent in the air for me and opened my eyes a little bit that maybe I'm missing out on something by being completely closed-minded to these books. So I had a giant stack like this big of like self-help and business type books because they're so common. You just find them. If you go to any thrift store, you can find, an entire shelf's worth of those books. And I winnowed it down to these 3. So this is one. I'll be reading all 3 and doing videos on them. This is one on time management. This is one on investing, I'm pretty sure, or spending behavior. This is it claims on the cover to be a classic of time management strategies. And this is a book about being generous, I guess. I don't know. These looked like they were not pabulum to me, and we will see if that instinct served me well. Okay, let me give you a little behind the scenes tour. That's the end of everything that you'll be able to directly make money off of in this video. So if that's your cue, then farewell. Thank you for watching. Let me show you what my life looks like now. So my upstairs neighbor is one of the loudest human beings I've ever encountered. He talks all the time. He never stops coughing. He never stops walking, and his ceiling and my floor is paper thin. So if you can see from my eyeballs, I have been losing a lot of sleep because he has bronchitis. So every literally 10 seconds, he coughs right above my head. So I guess this is also a tour of, let me get some light here. This is going to be a little bit of a tour of part of my inventory system. That's the light right there, and I pulled the chain off with my freakish strength. But this is a closet in my living room where I keep all of my fine goods and wares. And then this is a second closet where I was keeping other fine goods and wares, and now I am keeping myself because I was able to clear all this stuff out and buy a little mattress pad off of Amazon and a cheap sleeping bag, and it fits perfect, and it's really quiet in here, so I can sleep in here like a weirdo and talk to you guys about girls that I like. So this is the reseller life. If you keep hitting those goals, keep blasting past those milestones, you too can have a fucked up weird closet that you can live in. Peace.